Okay, so we continue from question 5. Evaluate the following. Question, which is part A. Okay, so what we have is simply sine inverse of 3/2. I think this is way too easy, right? But we know that we don't use calculators in this course, so we just have to know that this is a special angle. Since we are taking this cosine inverse of some value y, this means that we are finding an angle x, if you like. So anyone to give me the value of cosine?
60.
Yes. So that's 60 degrees, and we know in the radians 60 degrees simply pi over 3. So here you can guess there are so many angles, of course, that can give the same value here. But so since you are not given the domain, okay, you can you could find 60 degrees. There are so many. So if you like, you can write the general formula. So the other angles will be found by adding to pi multiplied by n, okay, where n here is again a positive, rather some integer. Okay, so these angles you are finding will be coterminal to pi. So in this case, well, the angle we are finding is already acute. Okay, so what you are saying is yes, from positive angles from anti-clockwise. So your 60 degrees is going to be there. So let's say that 60 degrees, which is pi over 3. So the other angles would be any angle that will touch this line. Okay, is going to give you the same value for sine. Of course, sometimes you have to be careful with the sign that you're taking. To also give me the same value, but I just have to take note that this angle is positive. Sine is positive in the first quadrant. So in the third quadrant is going to give me the same value, which is going to be measured in that direction until I reach that. So this is the one I'm saying. If n is 1, this is degrees plus 60 degrees. Okay, I think that would be 420. All right, we'll leave it here. In this case, we can just consider that angle. Tan inverse of negative root 3 okay, give us the value of this one. So what angle of tan, or what
Tan
will give you negative root 3?
and root 3 is 60. So in this case, would it be negative 60?
Yes, that would be negative 60. That will still be okay. Because tan is negative. It's an odd function, so you can always remove factor out of the negative. Okay. And so, okay, this value simply be negative pi over, you say it's 60, which is simply pi over 3. Okay. Again, if you want a positive angle, you know what to do. So in the fourth quadrant, so we subtract from 360. So this angle, if you want to make it positive, that would be the value. Okay, which will just be 5 pi over 3 as being a positive. There is no specification whether they wanted a positive angle or negative angle. They have just said in radians. So you could leave it there or leave it there. Okay. Again, I've said this, if they wanted, we simply want this, since this angle is already acute, so I simply add the period for tan, which is pi, multiplied, okay, where n is going to be some integer. So this would be the general formula for finding all of those angles. So, so that, okay. All right, let's go to next one. See. So, see, we are talking of this sine of cosine inverse of root 3 over 2. Okay. So we know that this is an angle. So don't worry about taking the sine of some angle. Okay, so this will no longer be what we are expecting. In this case, is not an angle as value of y. So if you would say let a there, because you know a is going to be some angle, be cosine inverse the inner part of root 3 over 2. Okay, so in that case, this 30 degrees, right? So that's pi over 6. Okay. So meaning the value that you are looking for there. So here you'll be getting the same y value for sine a. So again, we could also say 2 pi n here. But what we are looking for is value. So one possible angle here, the possible value, one possible value is simply picking the same pi over 6. So this implies that well, sine of cosine inverse of 3 over 2 pi over 6. You could pick any other angle, okay? It will still be the same thing because you're getting the same y value. So what is sine 60? 3 over 2. So in this case, that's the value we are getting.
Sorry, sir. You said cos.
Oh, that's 30, so that's half, right? Okay. So that's half. That's half there. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we go to the next one. So part E, we're simply finding cosine inverse. So we're doing the opposite of this. So outside we have cos, and then we take sine inverse inside of the same value. Okay. Most likely we'll get the same value, isn't it? So what is sine inverse of this guy? Commuting of angle, cosine of 60 is actually half. Okay, I think there are no questions here. Okay, this one on this part, part F. Cosine inverse of negative root 2/2. Okay. So what is cosine inverse of that? So when is cosine giving you this value? That's the question. So we know that cosine is an even function. Okay. So the angle that I'm going to get can either be plus or minus. I'm getting the same value for y, right? So someone might get a positive angle, another one a negative angle. In this case, we'll be getting the same value of y because cosine is even. Okay. So the question is, when do we get what angle of cosine will give you negative root 2/2? Maybe the first question to ask is, in what quadrant is cosine negative? So it's actually in the second and fourth, right? So we know that cosine is negative here and there. No, it's actually here, right? Here and there, I think. Or you can use that song you always sing. All students take chemistry. Yeah, so it's positive in the fourth. Okay, so it's positive there. So it's negative right here and there. So we expect an angle in the second quadrant or third quadrant to satisfy that value. Okay, but we can always go with the one in the second quadrant first. Okay. So if you like, you can do this. Inverse of negative root 2/2. Okay, in this case, if you do the reversal, you are talking of cos y equal to negative root 2/2. So you can use this method for the previous one we were doing. You can also be doing this to still digit the same thing, because you are simply asking yourself, when is what angle of cosine gives me this value? Okay, so you can make a triangle. Okay, so we are saying cos y is equals to negative root 2 over 2. Okay, but we know that cosine is the same as, is it adjacent over hypotenuse, right? So if you make that your triangle, but you expect that your angle anyway, in this case, is supposed to be in the second quadrant. Okay. So if I pick an angle in the second quadrant there, okay. So in this case, your opposite maybe my triangle should be this way. Okay. So let's say you want to pick this angle. So your x-axis is your y-axis value is negative here, you know. Okay, so this angle, this value is what is going to be the root of 2, negative root of 2, because you know that hypotenuse is always positive. Say I will let the negative go on 2. This is the hypotenuse. It can never be negative. So then we put our 2 here. Okay, so I think so that you are not confused, let's do this, because what I've noticed is that this is a value of y, which we have just conjugated that. So you would say you know that root 2 over 2 is the same as negative 1 over root of 2. Okay, then we follow the same our triangle. In this case, our hypotenuse becomes the root of 2, and our adjacent becomes negative 1. Okay, so what angle is that? We know that this means we are talking of angles in here should add up to 90. So what value will be this one, this part? Is it root of 3? Okay, so you're talking of, okay, this distance is greater than this one. Okay, so what I know is that the angle opposite to this should be greater than the angle, that one. So this would be 60 degrees, then this would be 30 degrees in this case. Okay, so now we are saying we want to find where y should give us this value. So when you're picking this, divide this. You're picking the 30 degrees actually. Okay. Are you seeing that? Are you still with people in here?
Yes, we're still here.
Okay. So now the only problem here you're finding is your angle is supposed to be in the second quadrant, right? Okay. So that would mean the angle that I need would just be 180 minus 30 degrees. Okay. So what will this value be? 150 degrees. Okay. So what you need to do is now take the cosine of that angle. Okay, and be sure that the angle that the value that you get is going to be actually equal to that.
So So hello?
Hello?
Yes, cos root 2 over 2, which is equals to cos, which is equals to 1 over root 2. If you talk of cos 1 over root 2, that's 45.
That's 45?
Yeah, that's 45. So I was asking me, how did you get the 30?
Okay, I think there's a problem with the triangles. So
Oh yeah, the triangle for 45 degrees.
yes, we
There's a
need
problem.
to actually use the one for 45.
30 and 60.
Yeah, that one, which is like that, like that, like that, like that. So we would do that. Okay. And say this is one. So the thing again is, okay, so that would be 45. 45. So you know that this is 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So this guy is going to be root 2. So so when I pick an angle 45, we know that cosine of 45 is going to be opposite and adjacent of a hypotenuse. It will be 1 over root of 2. Or the other thing you could do is actually do this. Simply sketch the graph of y, because now in this case, where is the original question? So where is the original question in this case? Okay, so the original question is this one. Okay. So we said, we know that this value here, cosine inverse of this is some value of y, okay? So I said, okay, actually this is because this is cosine inverse of some constant, so we're getting an angle. Okay, so in this case, I'm letting my y be an angle. Okay, so if we sketch the graph of cos y equal to negative root 2 over 2, well, then I'm swapping this to be y, and I'm letting my constant to be x. Okay, it's just because I've picked my angle to be y in this case, so I'm switching the xy plane. So if you sketch this your graph, you know that the cosine graph is in that way. Okay, just something like that. So this is at -1, this is at 1. So the value that you're talking about being negative root 2 over 2 is some value down here. Okay. So this is the negative root 2 over 2. Okay, so we see that this angle is actually going to be, because this is going to be pi over 2. This is 90 when cosine is 0. So this angle is actually in the second quadrant, and we have an angle in the third quadrant here. So we can see clearly that we have this angle, and this angle it's cutting, but the angles that we are looking for are these ones here. Okay. In this case, this angle is found in the second quadrant, and this one is in the fourth quadrant. I mean, rather in the third quadrant. Okay. So we expect this angle again can't be 45 in this case. Okay. Are you understanding that point? Why I'm saying it can't be 45?
Oh, because it is the 45 is a negative angle and we are looking for a positive angle.
Not necessarily. The problem is that 45 is in the first quadrant, and the angle we are looking for should be in the second quadrant or third quadrant. So look, that one is here. Okay, this is the one x equal to the positive now, √2/2. This is where you're getting your 45. So your 45 degrees is here. And the other one, which is going to be 45 minus, 360 minus 45 is going to be that angle there. Yeah. But what we want is this angle and that angle. Okay. Have you seen this, Mr. Arnold? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can.
Sorry, I lost connection. So just when I answered the question.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Together. So, sorry for that interruption. So look, so we know that cos 45 degrees is the one that gives us 1 out of √2, okay? So when we put a negative, we want an angle which is in the second quadrant. Just do is that if you have an angle in the first quadrant, what do you do to get an angle in the second quadrant? Hello? Subtract from 180, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you are simply going to say what we had laid to be our y in that case is just going to be 180 degrees minus 45 degrees. In this case where we are talking of radians, that's pi minus pi over 4. So your y in this case is what's that? 4 pi minus that, that's 3 pi out of 4. So this angle, you know, that is in the second quadrant. Okay. So therefore, the value we are saying cosine inverse of negative √2/2 should simply give us 3 pi over 4.
Sorry, sir. Just to get clear.
Sorry?
So here we are looking for positive angles. That's why it cannot be 45 or 2/2. It can be 45.
No, the question is, actually I can put plus or minus to this. I'm getting the same value. I'll be getting the same value because we said cosine is an even function. So the thing is, we have said cosine is negative. Okay, or let me say it's less than 0. Okay. In the second and third quadrant. So the angle that we should get should be in the second or in the third quadrant. So when we get to the angle pi over 4, this angle is in the first quadrant. But this same angle can help us to find the angle in the second quadrant. So we just ask ourselves, given an angle in the first quadrant, how do we find a coterminal angle which is going to be in the second quadrant? We simply subtract from 180. So look, your 45 degree, let's say this is your pi over 4. But what we want is an angle which is there or here. Actually,
Hello,
so
sir.
if I want, hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm able to get you, you can go ahead.
I know it's not me, so I was asking. It's unknown.
Oh.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Arnold.
Like just continue teaching because I just disturb because the moment you start explaining, I lose connection. So can't really get the explanation. So you
Okay.
can just continue because
Okay, you
something
watch
else.
Okay, so I was explaining to say your angle which is in the first quadrant is pi over 4, which is here, angle either in the second or third quadrant. So the angle in the third actually is just this one here. Okay, but I know that this angle, these two are equal. This angle and this also is going to be pi over 4. So, well, actually, it's even easier to simply see it from here that the angle you'll be talking about will be actually 180 plus pi over 4. Okay, so this would be this the same angle. You could also this angle is simply going to be pi plus pi over 4. Actually, it should give you the same value. So 5 pi over 4. So you can use the calculator to confirm that. Okay, what is cosine of, okay, what is this angle in degrees? So that would be 180 divide 4, then
That should
okay. But in any case, even this same angle is going to give you the same value because I'll be talking about finding the angle now coterminal to this in the back in the second quadrant. It will mean I'm going in that direction. Moving the same distance I've moved here, pi over 4. So I move another pi over 4 backwards. That means I'm subtracting now from 180. So these angles are all going to be equal. I mean, rather coterminal. Okay. So this is the angle we said this is 3 pi over 4. This is the angle which is 5 pi over 4. Okay. So that is to say, we can say cosine inverse of that can actually be plus or minus 3 pi over 4, or it could be plus or minus 5 pi over 4. Why I'm putting plus or minus is because this is an even function. Okay. No. Okay, let's go to the next part. I don't know if you can finish it. I hoped to finish this tutorial sheet today. Or can I end this one and then just